Good morning. So I want to see the scales go down. So I want to kickstart with some fast weight loss. And then I know it's not sustainable, but I really need to see that to help with my motivation. That was something that came up the other day. And then perhaps go back down to kind of more steady weight loss. That was something that came up last week. And it comes up a lot actually when at the start of the kickstart. And there is nothing wrong with this, but I want to make you aware of some of the risks and some of the perhaps physiological and psychological risks of this as well. So, firstly, losing weight fast is absolutely fine. We know there's lots of benefits from in the type 2 diabetes realm to feeling good to that motivation, that confidence. That can't be kind of just overlooked by just sustainability all the time. However, if you consider sometimes when we get a bit carried away at the start, it can come back to bite us on the bum. A bit like me yesterday, jumping in the sea without sun cream on, then realizing I was burnt when I come out. Anyway, going back to this. So let's say you start on a weight loss diet, and let's say you want to go a little. Let's say you go steady. There's a 500 calorie deficit that you've created. That is a 500 calorie deficit is essentially 1 pound of fat a week, because there are 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. So over the week, 500 calorie deficit a day. So let's say you go with that. The first initial week, though, you might still lose a bit more than a pound of fat, potentially, because of the whoosh. You'll lose a bit of gut content. There's less going through you in there. The glycogen, which is stored carbohydrates. And this can be quite motivating anyway. So you might lose like 4 pounds in the first week. Second week, maybe 3 pounds or 2.5 pounds. Week 3, maybe a pound. Week 4, a pound. And then from there, what kind of happens is you know where you're at. There's a steady pound, 1 pound loss, which is quite good, and that's steady. Now, then we can play with that. We can go, okay, you're using more, less, you're consistent. Now, let's say you went a bit faster now. So you do the same thing, you get that whoosh at the start, but this time it's 1,000 calorie deficit. So technically 2 pounds of fat a week is what we're going for. Now, you can do this, by the way, by tracking calories or not tracking calories. That's either way, that's fine. So let's say now that first week, maybe you lose 6 pounds. Second week, you lose 3.5 pounds. Third week, 2 pounds. 4th week, 2 pounds. You found that happy medium of 2 pounds now. But things that you have to consider here is it might be a little bit harder. It might be a little bit harder than you want it to be. You might be feeling a bit hungry more than the other option. But also consider that if you've got that, when that weekend away happens, when that social event happens, remember that you lost a bit more at the start in that whoosh with the gut content, with the glycogen, with the stored carbohydrates. That can psychologically come back to bite you on the bum a little bit. Not that it's bad or anything like that. It's just that if that happens, you might over the weekend notice that you've gained, like all of a sudden, like 3-4 pounds. You're like, where did that come from? That's like 5-6 pounds or whatever. Where did this come from? It's like, how it just comes back on so quickly. But this would have actually been like the gut content, the glycogen that perhaps you lost initially, not the body fat. You can't just gain the body fat back. Now, the only reason I'm sharing this, I wanted to empower you to know that that's not going to be body fat. So if you are going a little bit quicker, expect that little up and down to be a bit more exaggerated, especially in that first month or so from that week 1 whoosh. And the reason I'm sharing that is because you've got a few factors to consider. Psychologically, what's easier to manage with the scales on that, depending on your relationship with them. Do you just ditch them altogether? Then you lose out on a bit of data, or do you do it in a bit more systemized way, like we do at FruciFit, weigh daily, take the average over the week? The second part of this is more physiological, the hunger. How hard do you find it? Do you find that actually going a bit slower allows you to incorporate social events into your routine a little bit more easily? So a few things to think about there. Hope that helps. Have an awesome day. And any questions, let me know. Take care, and I'll